man proposes, God disposes.
That's it. Man proposes, God, because that's the only expression for my own as well.
That's
One beats on the track.
This is Live a Little as a 9-to-5er with JD Obat. Today I have Caleb with me. Caleb is a health and safety professional. He's also a food enthusiast and a career coach. So Caleb, how did you get into career coaching?
right, career coaching. So I think that was directly propagated by my interactions with a lot of my friends when I first started my master's in the UK in 2020. So I noticed that a lot of people had challenges navigating their experience in Nigeria and what they want to do in the UK.
Yeah.
So in that sort of communication with people that, oh, you have this skill, why not venture into this? You have this skill, why not venture into this? So that was basically how I then found that niche. So then I remember, as part of my own professional journey, I'd gone on some career optimization workshop and all that, and then I saw like literally what these guys are doing, I'm doing it for my friends also.
Creative mind is a fertile land for growth.
So from there it was just a bit of sort of upskilling.
Okay.
And then I broke into full-time career coaching.
Okay, that's nice. So
Yeah.
Caleb is a co-founder of Academia Inc. I'm going to put the link down here below. And I'm also a consultant in Academia Inc. And we can help you with your career path.
This is good, bro. This is good.
You mentioned that when people coming into the UK from either Nigeria or Ghana or wherever, they find it difficult to navigate themselves and their careers and how they can put in the certifications they had from outside the country and putting it into a career here. For me, it wasn't exactly like that because I did my undergrad here and I did my master's here as well. So it was easy for me to kind of navigate my path. But I realized something at that time, the apprentice route.
Yeah.
So if you were in Nigeria and there was the apprentice route as it is here in the UK, is this something that you think that you would go into? Because we spend years in the university getting all of these degrees, coming here to find our direction, and when we get into the offices and the workforce, we found out that there's another route called the apprentice route, which in Nigeria, what we know as apprentice route is not what not what the apprentice route is here.
Fairs.
So if you had a chance to go through the apprentice route, would you take that chance?
Well, I think, for example, it's important to break it down.
Okay.
Right. For those that do not know what the apprenticeship, route in the UK is basically a work learning scheme. Yeah, it's a work learning scheme where kids in college have the chance to do a particular degree, say civil engineering, for example. Now they go to the office, they work with a company, and they go to the office 4 times a week. And then 1 day a week they go to college, college to get their course. Now, what this can be likened to in the Nigeria system is doing your HND, right? So a lot of HNDs in Nigeria, they are quite similar to the apprenticeship route. Saying that when you're doing HND in Nigeria, they have a lot of them spend most of their time on actual practical sites. But I think the only con of that system in comparison to what the apprenticeship system in the UK is that you're not under full-time employment with any organization. But unlike Nigeria, in the UK, when you're in the apprenticeship system, you're actually in full-time employment. You're getting paid. You're going to school, and most times, if you're lucky enough, your organization, that's your host organization, pays your school fees also alongside. So obviously, if I had the chance to attend uni, get work experience, get paid,
get paid,
it's definitely
at
something.
16, 17, because that is when they get into apprenticeship.
It's definitely something I would have actually done. Funny enough, last week I was out with some of my colleagues in my organization, and we had a secondary school just not so far from here, and we're talking to the kids about the apprenticeship system in our organization. And within our organization, kids have, if you get on certain programs, you have the chance to earn up to about £21,000 a year, and you still go to college, you get work experience, and it's a very beautiful system, to be fair. I just feel when you're comparing it to the Nigeria system, there's a lot of fine-tuning that needs to be done with and the typical apprenticeship system in Nigeria is not a mirror of this one. It takes a totally different format, but then when you look at it from like academia point of view, it's easy to liken it to what people do for like HND programs, to be fair.
Okay, so I've never really known about the HND program and how it works. I just thought it was a degree.
Well, to be fair, I think the major difference between HNDs people that go to the polytechnic is they have more hands-on experience.
Okay.
They do less theory, more practical.
Okay.
So you can have a BSc in, I like using civil engineering
because that's
my background.
That's our background. But we both ran away from it. But we are civil engineers.
So for civil engineering, for example, you can do a 5-year course in civil engineering in Nigeria and might not have the exposure that somebody that did the HND course would do, because they might spend a good half time of their program on site with actual engineers and all that, and meanwhile you're shuffling between coursework and exam and all that. You might understand the theories and all that, but they have the practical experience.
I remember my first site construction in Nigeria, and it was even the laborers that were kind of explaining some things to me, and then I was like, oh, the beam and the columns, this is the bending moment I've been calculating.
Exactly.
I was gassed, but I get
but then you don't see it until you get to site.
Yes.
So that's just the difference between this and that, basically.
In one of my conversations with the previous guest, we spoke about work-life balance. Me, I personally feel like you are just living life. You are not doing work-life balance. You are only lifing. Okay, how much flexibility do you have with your work?
I have quite a decent amount of flexibility.
Okay, with the amount of flexibility you have, do you think that you have a balanced work-life situation?
Yes, I do think.
Yes, you look it. You don't look as stressed. You don't look as stressed as
no. So I do think I do, because even if I don't go to the office as much, right? I'm either on site in the office, or I'm working from home. So I might not be in the office as much, but every now and then I'm on the road, I'm on site, because the nature of my work, I have to be across Scotland most of the time.
Okay.
So when I get to work from home, I enjoy it, because I know that very soon I'll have to be on the road. So there's always that balance for me, to be fair.
Okay. I understand. I forgot to mention, I'm actually in Scotland for now. That's why I'm having this interview in Philip's space. I'm here for a couple of days just for my company, and this is like
actual work-life balance.
Yeah, this is not work-life balance. I'm still here for work, but I love visiting Glasgow. I love it a lot. Thank you. The food is waiting for me afterwards, but let's
food. Very important.
Very important, please. So moving forward, I'm going to ask you about health and safety. I know you have a background in civil engineering. In fact, we struggled as civil engineers together, and you have a master's in structural engineering as well.
Civil and structural
engineering. So why did you leave civil and structural? I want to say, why did you leave? Why did you forgo? Why did you forgo? Why did you let go of civil and structural engineering? I mean, to have my own story. But why did you leave civil and structural engineering into health and safety that you're doing right now? Yes.
Well, I think I'll give you the simple answer, and then I'll give you the summary of my journey. Okay. Right. The simple answer is that man proposes, God disposes.
That's it. Man proposes, God, because that's the only explanation for my own as well.
That's the simple answer.
Yeah.
So the summary is, first of all, my coming to the UK to do a master's course in civil and structural engineering was not what I wanted at the time, because at the time I was quite keen on studying environmental engineering, because on my undergraduate I did a lot of work with like wastewater and wastewater treatment, so that was looking like the path to go. Like I did it 2+2. I'm like, oh, this is the path to go. And then I did my search, got a university, potentially got an admission, then I saw the school fee, and then I had to backtrack and say, I was like, are you sure this is what I want to do? But I got an agent, and I'm like, okay, help me find cheap schools. And unknown to me, this agent went to go and meet my family members behind my back and told them that he has found the course. And then I was going, innocent me, and they told me, oh, they have found the course, so you come and go. So that's the summary of how I ended up doing. But then
that agent that's after school.
Yes, that's
Thank God I did not go to the point. Maybe you would have brought me health and safety too. I don't know. But I like the planner. So
anyway, so the journey with health and safety actually started after my master's. So I tried breaking into the water and wastewater sector in the UK, and what I noticed is that it was dense. It was quite dense, and there was a gap between entry level requirement and more experience level individuals. So in navigating that, had to do a backtrack and see, okay, what can I leverage on as my skill. So I broke down my skill set into 3 different categories: the core civil engineering, the project management, and then the health and safety. At the time I had attended one of these career optimization courses, and
career optimization courses,
yeah,
you need to attend if you haven't attended one.
Yeah, I attended one and did a skill mapping, did a bit of this and that here and there, and then I decided to leverage on my health and safety certification I did in Nebosh in 2019.
In Nigeria?
Yeah, in Nigeria, yeah. So that was one of the things I leveraged on, to be fair. And it was primarily motivated by 2 things actually. First, it was a clear career progression framework, and second, it was earning potential.
Okay.
See, I did the maths between getting chartership in health and safety and getting chartership with civil engineering. The requirement for the civil engineering one, considering that I had my undergraduate in Nigeria, was too much.
Okay.
I needed to bring my transcripts, not just the transcript, detail all of the courses that I had done. It was too much shenanigans for me. So, the health and safety seemed pretty straightforward. There was a clear career progression framework, clear, earning prospective potential basically. So it looked like, the best option at the time. But most importantly, the most, important deciding factor for me was the fact that I got clarity and I got conviction and instruction in place of prayer. So that was like it for me. So that was what just put me on that path fully to health and safety basically.
Okay, so we've heard your journey about us being a health and safety personnel, right? We also have heard your journey about how you became a career coach. There's one interesting part about Caleb, that Caleb is a chef, a baker. Caleb is good in the kitchen.
When you put it like that,
he's good in the kitchen.
When you put it
I've
like
eaten
that.
his puff before, so I know.
When you put it like that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to, I don't know if you do that professionally, but I know you used to at the time, you used to bake cakes. Is this something that you would want to venture into again, just to still have that side hustle?
I mean, to be fair, it's back there.
Back there.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you just tell yourself that eventually I'll get to this. Okay. But then you just have to put systems in place. Yeah, it's
so
one of those things.
Yeah. So me personally, you owe me a birthday cake, but I'll tell you when to make it. Not now, not this year, but I'll tell you the year.
You can see my reaction.
You see, you will tell you the year that you're going to make a birthday cake for me. So because he's good. I've tasted his pastries; they are good. So whenever that comes up, we're going to announce it and we're going to advertise it for you. Yeah.
Say less.
So finally, let me talk about something that you did last year. In fact, we did, but it was mainly you pushed it up, which is for immigrants by immigrants. It was an online platform where we conversation where we had three guests.
Yeah, 3 guests. Yeah.
We had also me as a host and almost how many people? Almost 30. We had about 30 people.
More than
30
immigrant by immigrant. We had about 150 plus registrations, and we had close to about 50 plus attendees,
and there were a lot of people that had questions and comments about navigating career paths here in the UK, and a lot of people being frightened, and also a lot of people getting a lot of reassurance that it was not just them. Almost everything you are going through, someone else is either going through it or have gone through it and had found a solution. So it was a platform that built a lot of confidence in a couple of people. Or my interest right now is what do you have to say to people that are still trying to navigate their path? That's one.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stress that goes with navigating their path. 2, when you finally get into it, there's still the part of managing that career path. So what advice would you give to people in these situations? The ones that are trying to get in, the ones that are already in and struggling to hold on.
So I think one of the things that a lot of us are not honest about is the journey, right? I have a lot of people reach out to me, I want to get on the career optimization, and I always ask this question is, are you ready to be consistent? Right? Because it's not something you do for 2 minutes today, 2 minutes tomorrow, relax, and then you get results. It doesn't work that way. For me it was a 7 to 9 months journey. Do you understand? For some other people it was a year long. For some people it might be 3 months. It varies. 2
days.
It might be 2 days. But there's a place of consistency. Do you understand? There's a place of putting in the work. You cannot make one application, you get, that rejection, and then you say you're not putting in any more applications. People are putting in tens and tens of applications every day. Now, I'm not saying you must, follow status quo. What I'm just saying is that to get your foot in, you just need that one yes, and then you get it done. The problem is that before you get that yes, sometimes people just pull back and settle. Do you understand? Before they get that yes. I know somebody that, it's very beautiful individual, finished their program, beautiful result and all that, but then, couple of no's and here and there, and then they stepped back, settled for something else, and less than 2 weeks after settling, they got like a very crazy offer, and it was hard to pull away from what they were already settled on, because this was just less than 2 weeks. You understand? So it was a very tricky situation to navigate. So my comments today for anybody watching this that's trying to get in there is just be consistent and put in the work. For God to be able to do what He wants to do, you need to do your bits, right? Because faith without work is dead, and it goes hand in hand. There's no bits and there's no that. You have to put in that work to see the result you want to do. And secondly, this second part is also for people looking to get in. Same
people that are
principle applies to people looking to get in that are already in. I would say 2 things to keep things simple. First thing is, don't be an island. That's the first thing. You cannot thrive in the professional space without people that you can rant to. Very important.
You see
it's very important, because currently I am doing quite a number of work with the EDI in my organization, and there's a lot of conversation around building a healthy work environment.
I'm also a D&I ambassador, so
yes,
D&I ambassadors here.
So now these conversations, we are looking at moving from paper. I don't want to come to work and have to code switch, change my accent just to make everybody feel comfortable. You have to feel comfortable. But if as an individual I don't have anybody in the professional space I can even rant to, and tell these are the challenges I'm facing. Have you faced this sort of thing? You're going to be under some undue stress and pressure, right? And then the second thing I'm going to say, is, for those that don't understand Pidgin English, I'm going to interpret what this means. Okay. Don't do pass yourself.
Oh, this is a very necessary one. If you don't understand Pidgin English,
it's very important. Now, what this means is, don't bite more than you can chew.
Perfect explanation.
Right? Don't bite more than you can chew. When you get into the office space, don't be in a hurry to impress, right? I can promise you it's better that you have 3 objectives, right? And you ace all of them, rather than trying to please get 10 and you can't even hit 5 or 2. Do you understand? It makes you look bad. You're right. But if you have 3 core objectives and you hit all 3, you're already setting yourself up for success. Do you understand? I know, especially if you're from my country, from West Africa, you're from Nigeria, there's this, it's a culture shock, to be fair. I remember when I first started my job, I called you and I told you, like, Joy, they are not giving me so much work to do. I'm like, what's going on? Are they going to fire me?
Hey.
So there's this culture shock, because in Nigeria, if you're, for example, you're a civil engineer, if you're the civil engineer, you're the site manager, you are the QS, you are the site engineer, you're doing everything. You're literally doing everything. Do you understand? But there's a culture shock, because when you get to the UK, your job description is your job description. Yes. So don't, in a bid to want to impress your employer, now go out of your way to go and do someone else's job. 2 things, you're going to make yourself liable for what is not your business, and you might open yourself to some legal or corporate issues. Do you understand? Do your tax that has been allocated to you. Do it diligently. Be competent and strive to build yourself. There's always the place of continuous learning. What can I do to upskill? What can I do to be, at the forefront of changes in my industry? What are the current legislations? If you're in health and safety right now, and you're, especially for those in England, there's a lot of chatter around the Building Safety Act. People are currently upskilling. I even had a recruiter reach out to me and say, for now, they are focusing on Scotland just because of the Building Safety Act in England. Not a lot of people have that skill. So there's already a gap in skill that people can leverage on. There's always that place of, constant, continuous development.
Yeah, constant,
So,
continuous development. Yeah.
to wrap up everything I've said, if you're looking to get in, be consistent, put in that work. If you're in already, take it bit by bit.
Day your day.
Take it bit by bit. One community I'll continue to give shout out to is the Energy Blacks community. You know, started by my friend Shuri. Shout out to Shuri, by the way.
Shout out to Shuri.
They are doing a very beautiful work in the energy sector in London. You know, they've created a community of black professionals, you know, in the energy sector. You know, so you go there and you see people that are of like mind, you network, you know, you build connections, you can, you know, actually tell them about your challenges and they help you navigate all the stuff. So look for community. Like, if you don't have any professional community, go to church or you go to your mosque.
Go to church or go to mosque.
Go somewhere.
Yes.
And don't isolate yourself. You know, a lot of people that find themselves isolated are the ones that have higher rates of like depression and anxiety.
Yes.
You know, the more you interact with people, the more it is you are able to deal with, you know, being in the UK by default.
It's overwhelming and it can lead to depression. I forget with the weather.
See no sun.
The weather. Oh my god, vitamin D. Depression, vitamin D is for loss of depression.
So you need that community. But I cannot overemphasize the importance of community in your journey in the UK. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes. I second this emotion about not being an island, because having a community to always have a conversation with has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Just being able to rant and just say, oh my god, this is how I feel, and someone is responding to you and telling that, babe, you are not alone, we're all in this together. It makes you feel like, okay, it's not just me, it's not just in my head, these things exist. So it's a very good thing to have a community. Secondly is to not do more than you can chew, like Caleb has said, because sometimes you take so much, you want to do your best because of the Nigerian pressure. We know that we must be the best. If you don't carry two head, we must have the two head. We don't always have to be those people. So long as you are doing what, ask for help. So long as you're doing what you're supposed to do. If you need to add more, it shouldn't be it shouldn't cost you anything if you want to add more to yourself. Thank you so much. This is Live a Little with JD Obat, and thank you.
Peace out.
Thank you, Caleb, for giving me the opportunity to have this conversation and for your space as well. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.